Okay, we are working from the Advanced 2 textbook. We are doing lesson 11.3, examples 1 through 4, and we are working from pages 480 to 482. Okay, so we've been working with inequalities, adding and using addition and subtraction to find the solution set for inequalities. Today, we're going to be using multiplication and division. And it's just like what we did with equations. So x divided by 5 is less than or equal to -3. You guys know how to do this. I need to isolate the variable. So to do that, I need to get rid of this divided by 5. To get rid of divided by 5, I need to undo it. I need to use inverse operations. So I'm going to multiply this side by 5. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So these guys cancel, and I'm left with x is less than or equal to. I have a positive and a negative, so my answer will be -15. So I think that's pretty simple stuff. Very similar to equations, using inverse operations. The only additional information is now we have to graph this. So I put my target in the middle, 2 ticks to the right, 2 ticks to the left. And this is telling me my solution set starts at -15. Now my sign is telling me equal to, less than or equal to. It means -15 is part of the solution set. So it's going to be a solid circle. And then when I'm graphing, I start with my variable. X is less than or equal to -15. Less than means to the left. Okay, I want you to try one on your own. -3 is greater than 2/3 x. I want you to try that one on your own. Okay, some of the answers I see coming in are looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and solve this. So once again, I need to isolate the variable. To do that, I need to get rid of this times 2/3. So I need to undo times 2/3, and I'm going to do that by multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So 3 times -3 is -9. 2 times 1 is 2. Is greater than or equal to. These guys cancel. X. Okay, I can leave my fraction this way, but it might be easier to graph if I convert it to -4 1/2 or -4.5. All three of these are equal. They're the same value. They just look different. So now I need to graph this. So I'm going to graph the fraction because it's been a while since we've done that. I'm going to put my target in the middle, 2 tick marks to the right, 2 tick marks to the left, And this tells me that -4.5 is where my solution set starts. And since there's no equal sign, -4.5 is not included in the solution set. So it is an open circle. Now, to read this, to graph it, I need to read it. And I always start with my variable. So to read this out loud, starting with my variable would be x is less than -9/2. X is less than -9/2. Well, less than means to the left. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, 6x is greater than or equal to -18. I'm going to give you a minute and I want you to solve this one on your own. Okay, let's go ahead and solve this one together. You guys are looking pretty good. So the first thing I need to do is, we need to solve for the variable. We need to isolate that variable. To do that, we need to get rid of this times 6. To get rid of times 6, we need to undo it. We're going to use inverse operations, and the inverse of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by 6. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So these guys cancel, and I'm left with x is greater than or equal to -3. Okay. At this point, you guys should be experts. I'm going to put my target in the middle, 2 ticks to the right, 2 ticks to the left. Now, this is telling me my solution set starts at -3. And because I have an equal sign, that means -3 is included in the solution set. So it's going to be a closed circle. Now I read my inequality starting with the variable. X is greater than or equal to -3. Greater than means everything to the right. So solving inequalities by using multiplication and division is very similar to equations. However, there is one difference. And that's what we're going to get into. What happens when we multiply or divide by negative integers? Let's take a look. I have -4 is less than 6. Do we agree that -4 is less than 6? I hope so. But what happens when I multiply -4 by -1? So I'm multiplying each side by -1. Well, -1 times -4 is +4, and 6 times -1 is now -6. 4 is most definitely not less than -6. 4 is greater than -6. So when we multiply each side by a negative number, we have to switch our inequality sign. Okay? So I mean, there's no other way to explain it really except to look at this. -4 is less than 6. And when we multiply each side by a negative integer, we have to flip the sign, the inequality sign, because our signs on each side are flipping. Therefore, our inequality sign has to flip so that it's still a true statement. Let's do another one. Let's take a look at 8 is greater than -2. Do we agree that 8 is greater than -2? Well, what happens when I divide 8 by -1 and I divide -2 by -1? Well, 8 divided by -1 is now -8. -2 divided by -1 is now +2. So we have to switch our sign to make sure the statement stays true. So let's just take a note. When multiplying or dividing by both sides by a negative, you must switch the inequality sign. So when multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative, you must switch the inequality sign. Okay? So let's practice that. So we've got x divided by -3 is greater than -4. So we're going to follow the same rules. I still need to isolate my variable. To do that, I need to get rid of this divided by -3. So I'm going to multiply by -3. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Now, I am multiplying both sides by a negative. So that means I have to switch my inequality sign. So these guys cancel, and I've got x is less than -4 times -3 is +12. And then we graph it. I put my target in the middle, 2 ticks to the right, 2 ticks to the left, and I know my solution set starts at 12. However, it is not equal to 12. So 12 is not included in the solution set. It's an open circle. And I'm now going to read my inequality starting with my variable. X is less than 12. Less than means to the left. Okay, let's do another one. -3x is greater than or equal to -4 5/10. So I still need to isolate my variable. To do that, I need to get rid of this times -3. So I'm going to divide by -3. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Now I am dividing each side. I'm dividing both sides by a negative. That means I need to switch my inequality sign. So -3 divided by -3 cancels, and I've got x. -4 5/10 divided by -3 is positive 1/5. And we graph that. My target goes in the middle. 2 ticks to the right. 2 ticks to the left. My solution set starts at 1.5, and there's an equal sign. So that means 1.5 is included in the solution set. So it's a closed circle. And now I read my inequality starting with the variable. X is less than or equal to 1.5. Less than means everything to the left. Okay, I want you to try one on your own. -4.2 is greater than or equal to -0.7x. I want you to try that one on your own. Okay, let's go ahead and solve this together. I know I need to isolate my variable. So to do that, I need to get rid of this times -7/10. Well, I'm going to divide by -7/10. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Now I'm dividing both sides by a negative. Therefore, I have to switch my inequality sign. So -4.2 divided by -0.7 is +6. These guys cancel, and I've got x. Okay, now we got to graph this bad boy. I put my target in the middle. 2 ticks to the right. 2 ticks to the left. This is where my solution set starts. And there's an equal sign. So that means 6 is included in the solution set. So it's a closed circle. Now, when I graph this, I need to read my inequality, but I have to start with my variable. So I'm going to say x is greater than or equal to 6. Greater than means everything to the right. Okay? So that's about